Hello. Uh, I am Mayor Watt. I'm the mayor of ohmTown. That's that site right there. Things have been just as weird as they've been for the last week, it seems, over at ohmTown. I'm trying to figure out some weird glitchy thing, and but everything seems to be working. It's interesting. That said, I'm going to jump right into the news. I'm also going to give that quick rundown, and I've got about 22 or so articles that have been aggregated. Like always, the way that this works is ohmTown is a news aggregator and community that's built around the news. All of the news is filtered into six main categories: create, news, education, entertainment, social, and technology. I myself focus more on the merging of three main categories, which is extra to this, which is business, technology, and society. I kind of meet at the crossroads of those three concepts, those three domains, those three areas of specialty. And that's the context in which I view the news. And then I talk about it again from my particular perspective. Right or wrong, it could just amount to my perspective. The information that I provide is, as far as I know, factual and truthful, at least in my perception, my understanding, my area of expertise. And if I'm wrong, please let me know, either in chat or via email or in the discussion boards at ohmtown.com or in the forums at YouTube or over on Twitter or anywhere that I am. I'm happy to discuss it and happy to do a course correction should I run afoul of something. I'm not too proud to sit there and say I was wrong. That said, I'm done with my spiel, so let's get into the news. The very first episode, look at that, I messed it up right out of the gate. The very first article is in the Warcrafters channel. The best SSD for gaming in 2022. I've talked about this before, and I think any SSD is better than any mechanical drive. If you still have a mechanical drive, do yourself a favor and swap it out for a solid state drive, an SSD. If you can go with an M.2, then switch to that type of solid state drive. There are other types, which are SATA drives. They basically look like non-moving part hard drives, right? They're usually really light, look like a thinner, they look more like a laptop hard drive. Switch to that. But I'm going to click this link so that I can give credit where credit is due. Dave James over at PC Gamer puts together a list of the best SSD for gaming. And right out of the gate, they're talking about M.2s, not SATA drives so much, but M.2s. And those drives are monumentally faster than SATA drives. And I'm going to scroll down this list. And hopefully, right. So the sequential read and sequential write is 5.3 or 7 gigs per second. And a hard drive, a SATA SSD, is typically in the 500 to 600 megabytes. And this is 7 gigs. So I would recommend I'm not quite sure why they're not making it much more apparent that these are M.2 drives. But maybe it's just me and my particular stance on things, because there's HDD hard disk drives, which are mechanical. There are SSDs, which are solid state drives, which are SATA and basically have a hard drive connector. And then there are these M.2s that they have this type of connector here, which you can't really see, but it doesn't have a big plastic connector. It slides into a socket on the motherboard or some other expansion card that it sockets into, and is screwed down. So it says it's a PCIe 4.0. And all of these are probably going to be in the gig range, 5 or 7 gigabytes per second read and write. It will turn your computer into a speed demon. So I'm going to just stop there and let you go and look at it over at PC Gamer. And for your trouble, I'm going to throw the URL into the Twitch chat. Again, I copy all of this into the description, both on, well, everywhere, really. I might as well not say both, but everywhere. The next article is in the Mobile channel, S'mores and the City, the rise of the illegal fire pit. Backyard fires do wonders for socializing during a pandemic, but they pose deadly risks all the same. This is the news equivalent of you'll poke your eye out. Does it happen? Absolutely. Fires exist. Fire exists. Ugh. Fire. That said, be careful. Dig a hole, line it with cement, with bricks or cinder blocks. Is it illegal to do it? It really depends on the city that you're in. But, you know, you might be able to get away with it. I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend getting a permit and building a fire pit and doing it right. But it says here fire pits are still verboten in most of New York City, though that is not stopping resourceful residents from gathering around them. Yeah, I mean, the only problem is if you dig a hole a little bit too deep and you hit a gas line or something, even the heat from the bottom of a fire pit will radiate through and could damage a line, depending on what the line is. This article is written by Allison Kruger for the New York Times and goes into the discussion about illegal fire pits. Let's see here. Council inched closer to accepting their presence when it introduced legislation to permit backyard fires in neighborhoods where there is detached or semi-detached housing, including much of Staten Island and areas like Riverdale in the Bronx, and so on. This is pretty hyper local to New York, but every city pretty much has an ordinance of some kind having to do with fire pits or free burning. If you have a drum in your backyard where you throw a bunch of refuse and set it alight, normally there's code, so look into it before you get a ticket or charged with a criminal negligence of some kind. But let's keep on going with this. The next article is in the Mobile group as well. Spokane was the next affordable city. Now it's too expensive. And if you haven't been paying attention, or you have been paying attention and are interested in buying a new house, it's getting pretty tough with interest rates increasing and inflation increasing, two different animals. And now with the conflict brewing between Ukraine and Russia and everybody else watching it, there's rumors of 10% inflation and other things becoming more expensive. This will certainly disrupt the flow of some supplies and the logistics therein. Why? Simply because. It just seems like because. This article is written by Connor Doherty, and it says maybe it was the date night when he and his wife spent 2 hours driving 19 miles to dinner in the homeless encampment down the street, or the fact that the homes were so expensive that his children could never afford to live near him. Whatever the reasons, there were many. Steve McDonald decided that he was done with Los Angeles. Yeah, and moving anywhere else. The houses have gone up in price. It's constrained, but still you have interest rates that are increasing. Banks are saying no more often. Cost of living is increasing beyond what the interest rate is. You have to have exceptional credit. Otherwise, you're going to get dinged more and more on that loan. And I had read a while back that Spokane, Washington, which is in the United States, was supposed to be the next big city kind of thing, the next place to go to. And then today I read about Spokane, Washington being too expensive. Basically within 2 years, that's what happened. So go over to the New York Times. You can read more about it from Connor Doherty, whose picture on the New York Times for his byline, it makes him look like he's really, really young. If I was that young and driven to write, my goodness, the things I would have accomplished. The next article over at Warcrafters, the Warcrafters channel, is a hardware article. NVIDIA is set to spend at least $10 billion to secure its share of limited 5 nanometer chip supply. If you're a fabless company that relies on external chip manufacturing from companies like TSMC, you're forced to compete for limited wafer starts, particularly on the bleeding edge nodes. The use of a smaller node dramatically alters the fundamental performance of capabilities and even the essential viability of your chip. Yes, as you get smaller and errors crop up, it does more devastating damage to the supply. So this is an article from Chris Sedgwick over at PC Gamer, and goes into some detail. According to Hardware Times, NVIDIA is set to pay the exorbitant, I wouldn't say exorbitant, amount of nearly $10 billion to secure its share of TSMC 5 nanometer capacity. NVIDIA is gearing up to produce its next generation Ada Lovelace GPU on TSMC's 5 nanometer nodes. Of course, the next gen GPU family is likely to be referred to as RTX 40 series. And this is something that I spoke of previously. The 30 series and even the 20 series are so darn expensive that by the time most people have saved up enough money to buy it, the supply has been constrained so much that the RTX 40 is their next option. And who knows, it will probably be a $1,000 card out of the market because NVIDIA sees the elasticity of that price, with people willing to pay for it in bulk numbers to constrain it and sell it in the aftermarket instead of straight from retail. Now, this all comes on the heels of mining using GPUs for crypto mining. And that really is pulling away GPUs from the gaming sector and from general computing. You can still get OEM computers, though, with 30 series GPUs installed at arguably a reasonable price. But the aftermarket ones from third parties other than NVIDIA, and you can't get them from NVIDIA, it seems, at least I can't, they're just not available, the aftermarket ones. They're manufactured and bought up before I even see them in a store, which is quite fascinating. That said, let's continue on with the next article. You can always go over to PC Gamer and read more about that $10 billion secure 5 nanometer chip supply purchase. I mean, that it is a lot of money, but if you're going to secure your business model, you're going to have to spend it. It's not like it's just there to as a placeholder. Your NVIDIA is going to be getting something for it. The next article is a day of discovery, 7 Earth-sized planets in the Mobile channel. It says newspapers around the world printed the discovery on their front pages. Astronomers had found that a red dwarf star called TRAPPIST-1 was home to a close-knit family of 7 Earth-sized planets. This article is over at phys.org. And it says, using telescopes on the ground and in space, scientists revealed one of the most unusual planetary systems yet found beyond our sun and opened the tantalizing question, are any of these worlds habitable, a suitable home for life? Well, it's going to get tough to get there, considering our biggest human endeavor is not even, what is it, 1 light day away from us. And it's been out there for 40 years, I think. Yeah, well, that solar system, or I should say that extra solar system, twice as old as ours and 41 light years away. So we're not going to get there until we get faster than light travel. But go over to phys.org and check it out. TRAPPIST-1 has 7 Earth-sized planets. Perhaps one of them will have life in it. We won't know until they come and land on our doorstep, and then somebody will probably say that it's a lie. The next article is a Spotify car thing, is a $90 thing that plays Spotify in your car. Spotify is entering the hardware market with Car Thing, a smart music player meant to sit on your dashboard. The company released Car Thing to a limited number of subscribers in October, and it announced on Tuesday that anyone can buy it for $90, but you need a Spotify premium subscription to use it. It's meant as a way to provide Spotify to your car without the need to look down at your phone or deal with clunky built-in car interfaces, which can be dangerous to use on the run. Not today. Maybe in older cars, yes. But let's click this link. This article is written by Sharon Harding over at Ars Technica. And this looks like a render, not really the real deal, but maybe it is the real deal, and I'm just looking at it as if it is CGI. I don't know. If you're in my chat, does that look like CGI to you? That little gadget right there? Well, unfortunately, the way that cars work is you either have Bluetooth or you don't in your car. If you don't, then you have to wire your extra device into it via an aux port somewhere. And that acts as your Bluetooth, this new device, whatever it is, this car thing. And then you stream to it, probably, right? But it says, but you need a Spotify Premium subscription to use it. Spotify Premium currently costs $10 for individuals, $16 per month for 6 accounts, which is like a family plan. There's a student plan as well, I believe. But yeah, you basically just plug it in and stash it somewhere on your dashboard, and then you can throw your Spotify account onto it. Sounds good to me, right? As long as it gets the job done. A lot of us who are into tech pretty much want, it's referred to as a head unit, right? So the stereo in your car, all we want really is nowadays a USB-C jack. Just plug in right there. Even then, we'd rather have Bluetooth, low energy, and just stream right into our car instead of having to turn on your car stereo or plug something into it. The faster everybody just switches out and makes car stereos, invisible, and we can recover the dash space for a big screen that provides a ton of telemetry and a mapping system and whatnot on a touch screen, similar to how Tesla has theirs. I think that would probably be best. Just get rid of the stereo. Give us good quality speakers. Don't worry about the head unit. A strong, powerful amplifier that's reliable and high enough quality that it won't peak when we stream something to it, and Bluetooth low energy. Make it easy for us to just stream our music from our phones or whatever other device. You know what won't be stolen from my car? A USB-C port sitting in the middle of my dash. Anyway, I think this is another device that people pretty much don't really need, but maybe there's enough market out there for older cars or people who really, really like Spotify. The next article is over on the Tabletop Nights channel. Elix 2 did a trailer today. I believe it was today. And goes into some detail about the combat and skills and whatnot. I'm going to take you over to the author of this. RPGsite.net is the location, and Adam Vital is the author of the article who put all of this together. There's quite a little bit of discussion here, but it's very succinct and leads you to the trailer and various segments therein. So I would go over to rpgsite.net and find out about it. I think a lot of discussion about Elix is that it's quote unquote jank. But this is a very big graphics, I wouldn't say evolutionary step. This is a revolutionary step compared to the original Elix, Elix 2, which is supposed to launch on March 1st. It looks amazing now. I mean, I might get sucked into this game. It's supposed to be really big. It's the graphics look engaging. I don't know about the storyline for Elix 2. I haven't watched the video. I encourage you to go over to rpgsite.net and check it out. THQ Nordic and Piranha Bytes have released the new explanation trailer for Elix 2. Go check it out. Come back and talk to me in chat. The next article is that Mountain Dew is going to make a hard version of it. 5% alcohol Mountain Dew has been released. PepsiCo and Boston Beer Company officially launched a suite of spiked Mountain Dew beverages. Hard Mountain Dew. 100 calories, 5% ABV. Available in 24-ounce single-serving cans and 12 packs of 12-ounce cans. So let's click this link. Take you over to VinePair. The can looks really nice. It's pretty neat. Hard Mountain Dew, 5%. Might taste good. I might have to go and get it and try it, and we can talk about it. Let's shoot for tomorrow. We'll see if it's in the local place. Hard Mountain Dew details. Ilana Davis is the author of the article. Ariella Basson or Basson. You'll have to correct me, Ariella. And did the graphic. So the graphic looks pretty neat. Obviously not the can. The can is from Mountain Dew, I suppose. Or PepsiCo, I should say. But let's see. Black cherry watermelon and original Mountain Dew are the others. 0 sugar. Each of them 5%. Might have to check it out. Looks like it might be a fun drink. We'll give it a try. The next article is about Audi. It's in the Word in Tech. And the word today is 5G. It says Audi is bringing 5G connectivity to its vehicles in 2024. Anybody that's developing a new car that's going to have cellular connectivity is going to be bringing 5G as well. They better. It's the next iteration of cellular technology. And if you're not bringing it, then you are falling behind. The automaker is joining forces with Verizon. This article is written by Andrew J. Hawkins over at The Verge. And they got that Audi steering wheel with the 4 rings, and then the steering wheel has that flat part at the bottom, which always throw when I'm driving and when I've driven an Audi that has that, or any car that has that little oblong side to it, it always throws off my driving. I don't know. My arms anticipate the full circle. So muscle memory, I suppose. Anyway, Audi and Verizon say the plan is to bring 5G ultra wideband technology to the automaker's vehicle lineup starting with the model year 2024. So everybody else, you've had warning shots across your bow. You better switch to 5G. So some people will want it enough to move over to a different car. It's faster, more reliable. And it's the next generation. So if you're going to keep up with the Joneses, you're going to be getting an Audi in 2024 with 5G. Whoops. So this next article is in the Order of the Bean channel. It's where we talk about coffee. And this is the whiskey straw, which is spelled WHISKEE, which combines whisking and drinking. First of its kind straw whisk hybrid for your drink mixing needs. And when they said that you could, did you ask, why should you? That's kind of how that question goes. Oh, that's a Sprudge link, but let me link to ohmTown as well. So there's where the discussion board would be. And when you click the link, you get sent over to Sprudge.com. And the article is written by Zach Cadwallader. And it is a whisk. It literally is a metal whisk with a straw attachment, like a mouthpiece, a plastic mouthpiece at the end of a metal straw. So they've essentially welded a whisk onto the end of it. So it says, we've all been there. You're making a mocha or pouring some oat milk onto your iced coffee, and they say the damn thing just won't mix. Well, I don't know if I would go that far. The language, oh my gosh. You stir and you stir, but the regular old straw doesn't pass muster and a mixing tool. It probably should be as a mixing tool. Anyway, it's a tiny whisk and a straw, so you can get more stir out of it. I wonder if it's patent protected or patent pending, but you can go and check it out. It even has its own domain name now, or a website called Whiskey Straw, WHISKEE straw.com, and you can go and get it yourself. Somewhere around the $20 mark. Is that what it? $14 to $18? Yeah, somewhere around there. I didn't click the link. But you can click the link that's in chat, go over to sprudge.com, do a search for whiskey straw, and you will find the whisking and drinking combo device. The next article is in Stock Marketeers channel, and it's about waiting for the perfect moment may not be the best strategy. Three things investors should do right now as the Ukraine-Russia crisis escalates. And it talks from the perspective of financial experts. Click the link and take you over there. It's written by Jacob Passy. They have not changed the headline for this, but it's a Market Watch article, which usually does change. It says financial experts share their top tips for investors amid the latest market downturn. And they include, as usual, several referenced symbols. Primarily, it's the main stock markets, which, let's see here. I will I actually brought it up so that I can take a look at it with you. And so this article actually talks about the U.S. stock markets closing down lower on Tuesday today. And based on the numbers that I see, it speaks to something else, which is I don't think that anybody that's in government that receives privileged information should be able to invest. And here's why. I would have to look at real-time numbers to see when people started trading and when the president of the United States started making references to what is typically referred to as energy minerals. So it's a sector of performance in stock markets, particularly the Dow. Anyway, energy minerals shot through the roof, plus 25% for the day, while the Dow collapsed 500. Technology services, consumer durables, commercial services, and retail trade all declined 13 to 21% respectively. As you go down the list that I started with technology services, they declined. The nearest profit sector from energy minerals, which went up 25%, was consumer non-durables at less than 4, actually 3.72%. This is on the heels of statements made by the president. So I want to know, because I'm rather cynical about this. I don't think that the common person gets full information. Even if they wanted to, they don't get the information needed to make stabilizing decisions when other people do. That's my claim. That's my statement. And I would love to be an auditor to go and look. When did people start trading energy minerals today or yesterday? Or is there a detectable trend? Well, the way that it typically works is there is no investigation until there is a claim of an issue. And then there's an investigation that takes place as long as there is something that allows the investigators to say, yes, there's an issue here, even before the investigation begins, which is fine with me. But when did people start trading on the information that was ultimately disclosed today by the President of the United States? The next article is there in chat. Netflix is testing its curated stream of comedy clips on TV. Netflix is testing Fast Laughs, a stream of comedy clips handpicked by Netflix on its TV app. The feature lets you sift through a collection of funny short videos, each about 30 seconds or longer, from shows and movies on Netflix, with the goal of introducing you to new content or helping you decide on what to watch. And apparently they're starting with Fast Laughs. Kind of the TikTok of the internal mechanisms of Netflix. This article is written by Emma Roth over at The Verge, so definitely go over there and you can read the rest of the article for yourself. I don't go through it live on the air. It's just something that I don't do. I will read it later, or as I'm skimming through it here. That's the end of my pursuit of this. And they even mentioned TikTok-like stream that you can seamlessly scroll through. So my perception of this is on par with Emma Roth's perception of this. So go and check it out. Maybe you'll like it. Maybe you won't. Come back and talk to me here on the ohmTown News discussion every day, 6 p.m. The next article, I'm going to keep on steaming through this. The Daily News Show, which this is, has the next article. And it's Facebook misled investors about battling climate and COVID lies, SEC filings state. Francis Hugin's SEC filing shows yet again that Facebook cannot be trusted and needs Congress to step in to stop the spread of disinformation, said one climate campaigner. So we're going to click this link. And I know that you might be listening to this as a podcast, but I am presenting this in myriad format. So pardon me when you hear me say I'm clicking the link, it's because I'm actually doing this live. This article was written by Jessica Corbett over at commondreams.org. And every time I see articles about Facebook and misleading stuff or not providing, not being forthcoming, et cetera, it always leads me back to an old school event involving Facebook where they manipulated the news feed of 700,000 people without their authorization, without their notice, as a behavior modification experiment. Again, the users of the site. And this is years after the CEO of Facebook was telling everybody that everybody who is using Facebook is stupid and that they're providing all of this information and blah, blah, blah. Facebook can't be trusted. I don't trust Facebook. I'll say it and I'll say it again. Facebook can't be trusted. Abuse happens in the dark. And when your information is behind a gate, but you willingly provide it, guess what? You're going to have to claw your privacy back from Facebook. And that's just not going to happen. Billions of dollars are funneling through Facebook. You are not going to get your privacy back. You're going to have to leave Facebook before you get your privacy back. And even then, beacons are tracking you everywhere. Everywhere you see a Facebook beacon, that little thing that you can barely see probably in my stream changing color, that thing on the left-hand side, that little Facebook icon, that right there is telling Facebook and a cookie on my computer, I've been here and the time, and it's going to send that information back to Facebook at some point. But I take certain steps to prevent that kind of tracking. It's not easy. It's not something that is it hobbles usability, but it can be done. At any rate, this is actually a somewhat older article from February 18th, but I wanted to talk about it because Facebook has done this again and again and again, and people who have access to its fire hose on the back end have consumed massive amounts of data. But we as people, part of society using this service, you are the asset that's being bought and sold and traded. Okay. Your data, everything about you is being capitalized on. If you don't like it, you're going to have to leave Facebook. It's for free after all. But I'm just going to leave that there. You're going to have to go over to Common Dreams and read that article for yourself. Facebook misled investors about battling climate and COVID lies, SEC filings state. The next article is over on the Mobile channel. And it says college seniors prepare to enter our work world in flux. As workplaces transformed by the pandemic negotiate a new normal, Dealbook asked college seniors across the country what they hope it would look like. So I'm going to click this link, and it's an article written by Corinne Pertil. Was updated today, February 22nd. But Dealbook asked college seniors what the country, across the country, what they hope it will look like, the workplace. And they go into some detail here. Workers all the way up to the C-suite have reassessed what they want from a job, and expectations for when and where work must be done have evolved. Let's see. They spoke to 10 seniors, which is kind of a microcosm. let's see, the first statement that they make is, I don't care too much about change. It happens, said Austin Rosas, 23, Texas A&M University economics major. Adaptation is what matters. True. You never know. There may be a time where you have to show back up to the office because telecommunications has broken down, right? Solar flares, nuclear war. I don't know. That's so hyperbolic. I don't think anybody should be in an office anymore. Most of the time it's more the social aspect of it, and it's rather old school in its deployment. You have to be butt in seat 35, 40, 60, 100 hours a work week just to show that you are present and check the box that you exist. I've done countless years in remote situations and still got the job done under budget and on time. And for the last 2 years, it's largely been like that. Not largely, it has been that, even more so. But it really depends on the field that you're in. And I've said this countless times over the last, since the beginning of the year, since I started streaming this. I've said this multiple times in ohmTown. Not everybody can benefit from telework, but most people can, to a great degree. I would be more interested in sending my raw materials, depending on what it is, to somebody at home so that they can put it all together in the comfort of their home, where they have, everything that they need, short of the human interaction with other people in the workplace. So if you value that over productivity and effectiveness, drag everybody back 2 hours a day of traffic just to get to work for 8 hours. Disrupt that work-life balance. So the next article is over in the Warcrafters channel. Aaron Flynn's Inflection Studio is now owned by Tencent. Inflection Games, a studio made up of ex-BioWare developers, including former BioWare general manager Aaron Flynn, is now part of Tencent. The Chinese conglomerate's acquisition of the studio was announced by UK-based technology company Improbable, Inflection's original parent company, which said it sold the studio as part of its new strategic focus on metaverse activities. And depending on which articles you read, metaverse is dead. This article is written by Andy Chalk. Probably doesn't mention the death of the death of metaverse, but Inflection's debut game Nightingale, which is the game that I am waiting for release, is also undergoing some changes. And please, I hope they don't suck. I want to enjoy and love Nightingale. So far, I love everything about it, but if it's going to be pinned into the metaverse within Facebook and have some weird tracking or I could care less about microtransactions because I just won't use them unless I really want to, because I want to get further ahead in the game and I don't have time to sit there and grind away. Some people have time to grind away. I don't have time to grind away. I just want to play the game. As long as it doesn't impact anybody else. It's not like I'm running around PvPing. And if it's pay to play, then it really sucks because there's a large culture that is anti that. And it prices out people who can't afford to spend thousands, 10,000s, even hundreds of thousands of dollars in pay to play mechanisms. But I'm not going to spend too much time on this. We are going to have to watch to see what happens with Inflection's Nightingale and Tencent and the metaverse. Wish us all luck. For some reason, I think we're going to need it. This next article is justices will hear free speech claim from website designer who opposes same-sex marriage. Nearly 4 years after the Supreme Court declined to decide whether compelling a Colorado baker to bake a cake for same-sex couples would violate his right to freedom of speech, the justices agreed to take up a similar question in another case from Colorado, this time involving a website designer. The case that the court agreed on Tuesday to hear was filed by Lori Smith, who owns a graphic design firm and wants to expand her business to include wedding websites. Because she opposes same-sex marriage on religious grounds, Smith does not want to design websites for same-sex weddings, and she wants to post a message on her own website to explain that. Well, how? Oh, and see, like this is what I'm when I talk about sociopathy and sociology. A lot of people are going to take it and just be really upset about this statement, but this is what it is, right? If you're a member of society, you take all of it, right? The stuff you agree with and the stuff you don't agree with. You're a part of society, and there are people out there that are willing to pay you. If you are a good artist, so be it. Just be a good artist and do the job, right? Your belief shouldn't stop you from performing the task if you want to do it. But if you don't want to do it, then you just say, hey, I don't want to do it. And if somebody asks you why, you just say, I'm busy. I don't want to do it. Right? But if you are out there screaming, you're anti-LGBTQ, etc., all it is hate. You literally want to, you want to benefit, right? Or you don't. If you are not willing to accept it, so be it. But you're telling other people that they are wrong about their lifestyle choice, their belief system, them. You are telling them, right? But nobody would know if you just wouldn't sit there and say, I don't like you. And that's what it comes down to. You don't like their choice. Now, everybody should not go and give this person business. Plain and simple. If they don't have the ideology that aligns with you as a customer, don't go to them. But there are protected classes, and you can't, in certain instances, lay claim to them as a reason why you turn them away. But I'm stuck, right? I think a business should be able to decide who they want to work with from end to end. So be it. But society has a means to respond, which is an overt statement saying that these people hate these other people, right? I could care less. Be who you want to be, but you should expect society to respond. But let's click this link. This is scotusblog.com. It's written by Amy Howe, and the Supreme Court will discuss this, apparently. 303 Creative LLC versus Elanis. And this would be a non-issue if 303 Creative, who I believe is the website, this would be a non-issue if they would have just said, we're too busy to do your website, and not divulge the religious aspect of it or whatever else led to it suddenly becoming a Supreme Court case. I mean, but who am I? I'm just a person with an opinion. But I don't go running around telling other people, I don't go around telling LGBTQ people that they're doing it wrong. You have to embrace all of society, every single aspect of it. Nobody's getting hurt. Everybody is being an adult. But in this particular case, it's something beyond just somebody's same-sex marriage. It's based on religious grounds. You can do a lot of things based on religious grounds. But let's move on. I'll let you go over to SCOTUS blog and read Amy Howe's entire article about it. My perception is a business should be able to decide who they want to work with. That said, society should be able to decide, let's not do business with that business. And I suppose that's exactly what will happen. And the claim to fame will be that they are court case. They are a web developer whose court case was seen by SCOTUS. That will be their claim to fame, not the work product, not the great deeds that they've done. It will be that they stood up to an LGBTQ couple wanting a website. Astonishing. Absolutely astonishing. Fallout 76 will be invaded by aliens this spring. This is an article that was aggregated into the Warcrafters channel. Bethesda has teased its plans for Fallout 76 in 2022, which will begin this spring with an alien invasion and end the following winter with the fizziest show on Earth. I talked about this yesterday, to some degree, but I'm going to click the link and take you over to Andy Chalk and PC Gamer. Andy Chalk wrote the article. Bethesda has revealed the 2022 development roadmap for its post-nuclear MMO. And I urge you to go over to the site and read the article. But what I had yesterday is similar to what this article is. And it says, in the spring, invaders from beyond, which is apparently aliens, then test your metal in the summer. Then Expeditions The Pit in fall, and then Nuka World on tour for winter. And each one of these has 3 little sub-segments that are in the roadmap, but you're going to have to go over to pcgamer.com and read the rest of it. Things with the fizziest show on Earth, a traveling road show called Nuka World on tour, is part of apparently a regional boss that's going to be launched in winter. So a nuclear winter, if you will. Ha, ha, ha. Okay. This next article is over in the Law Nerd channel. And it's called Row, Row, Row Your Fake Boat. A promising big ticket IP dispute recently kicked off in the rowing machine marketplace. I'm going to click this link here. It's over in Above the Law. It's written by Gaston Kraub. And they state, I am in the market for a new rowing machine. See, I have a rowing machine, and I thought that this was really interesting because although I have a very, very inexpensive, well, I should say reasonably priced rowing machine, I don't like it because it doesn't integrate with my phone or my iPad or any device, really. It's just there, but I want telemetry. I want to do more. I want to be able to track my rowing. Can't really do it with this. And there's this quantum leap in price for that additional functionality. Apparently rowing machines are a niche market that doesn't have great demand. But it says here, my prior one, a Velocity magnetic rower, suffered an unfortunate demise during one of my high-intensity interval training sets. when I managed to completely crack off the plastic rear fulcrum, a barely avoided serious injury when my seat thereupon flew right off the Velocity's newly exposed rear end. So if you don't know about it, basically a rowing machine is a rail in the middle with a seat on it that has wheels, or like a sled, and you slide your butt up and down this rail. Wow, phrasing. Anyway, you're on the seat and you're rowing, and it simulates the row, obviously. Some of them have water inside a tub that has a paddle, and you have to, depending on the amount of water in it, that's your resistance, a resistance rower. Others use magnetics, others use tension on a wheel. But regardless, one of the things that I really want is a more interactive rowing experience. And you can do it with VR glasses. But again, I'm waiting for wireless VR that isn't tied to Meta/Facebook. Yes, I'm high maintenance. Anyway, this article goes into some great detail about their experience with this. And it says, with this buying decision on my mind, I was super pleased to see a promising big ticket IP dispute get kicked off in the rower market. As home exercise equipment goes upscale, in part fueled by COVID-19's unfortunate persistence in making going to the gym a health risk, a prevalence of companies turning to litigation to protect their market position continues apace. In the latest installment, leading rowing machine maker Hydro, probably Hydro. If you've ever played D&D, then Drow. That's the source of me saying Hydro. Anyway, Hydro has decided to take on an even bigger fitness equipment maker, iFit. Manufacturer of Nordic Track branded equipment. Yes, iFit is what I've got in my home gym. Yeah, this is more about design and trade dress. Good luck. This is a peeing on my bush kind of lawsuit. Good luck. This will probably end up being expensive for everybody except the attorneys. So I'll say it again. Good luck. If you want to do something great and stand out, don't be stingy with the tech. Put a nice touch screen on it that has Bluetooth, low energy, and has the ability to send that telemetry to an app, and you will get the rowing market. You know, I mean, it doesn't even have to look phenomenally amazing, right? These water rowers are really attractive looking, but I don't want water in my gym. I want a magnetic rower that provides the telemetry. I want to be able to raise the angle so it looks like, so it pretends that I'm going uphill, right? Just like a treadmill. Even though you're rowing, the tension is what matters. The tension is what matters. High quality track is what matters, so that it doesn't, when it picks up dust and dirt in the air, those wheels get little dirt infused pressure spots, and you have to clean your wheels regularly. Otherwise, when you're rowing, you can actually hear it going thump, thump. Yes, it's happened to me. Anyway, all it is a metal rail with a seat on it. Dedicate some high tech to it, but keep the prices low. You know, it shouldn't cost $3,000 for a rowing machine. Maybe it's just me. Is it just me? Anyway, the next article is over in Mobile. Wall Street Journal owner opts for flexible office return. This is an article over at the New York Times. Team leaders will decide what type of return would work best, the chief executive of Dow Jones wrote in a company-wide email. So let's click this link and go over there. Written by Katie Robertson. It has another line of team leaders will decide what type of return will work best, the chief executive of Dow Jones wrote in a company-wide email. And I think that this is what every business should do. And it shouldn't be a blanket policy. Not everybody needs to return to work. Not everybody needs to return to work the same amount of time as another department. You can have two departments that are form and function essentially the same thing, except that there is a subtle contextual difference to one group. They are more technically savvy. They have the policy and procedure in place to be distance. Let them be distance. Let their work-life balance be more aligned with their particular liking. And if somebody wants to return to the workplace, then let them return to the workplace. But be flexible. Because I guarantee you, a person who is happy doing the work at home is going to be more effective and efficient. Allow meetings to take place via Zoom or otherwise. Obviously, there's security issues with Zoom. If you are a competitor and like me, you think that anybody can listen in on anything when the server that's in control of your meeting is wholeheartedly controlled by some third party. I know this from experience because I've had multiple businesses that have that level of privilege. Yes, it's easy to eavesdrop on communication. I'll put it to you that way. It takes policy and procedure to stop it. Well, anyway, the New York Times article is going to go into discussions about this flexible return to office from the News Corp building. And otherwise, I would suppose, right? Home to the Wall Street Journal, Dow Jones, Rupert Murdoch's entire media empire. They're going to decide who and what and when and where. And I think that having some fidelity in that response and not just everybody is back in the ship will go far in keeping talented people in-house. The next article is, I think, old news in the grand scheme of things. Facebook has lost $500 billion since its rebranding to Meta. If you're not familiar with it, oh man, this article is really long on my site and I don't like it. Anyway, Facebook rebranded, and it's similar to the way that Google rebranded. Google is now a subsidiary of Alphabet. Alphabet owns a multitude of companies, and that way Alphabet isn't as damaged by decisions that a subordinate company makes. Whereas when everybody was saying Google owns this, Google owns that, everything impacted Google. Everything was Google centric in terms of marketing, advertising, liability, etc. Everything that Google did impacted everything. Well, now it's Alphabet, and you can break off the pieces of Google from Alphabet, and Alphabet just sits up above everybody else looking down at all of the other assets. And that's kind of what Facebook is doing. But let's click this link and I'll take you over to Hope Corrigan at PC Gamer, who did the article. That's 500 billion more than any of us will ever see. Yes. What a statement. So $500 billion was lost. The stock took a beating. It dropped 30%. This article is actually, it was published somewhere less than a day ago, but this news is actually pretty old. But Meta is focusing on the metaverse. I really don't like Meta, and there's a lot of meanings to Meta, by the way. Anyway, I can get into it at another time, but essentially I don't really like Meta and its meaning and where it is going. I don't want it to take over VR. I don't want it to be as pervasive as it is. It's still Facebook. Everything that Facebook learned, it applied to Meta and basically plopped Facebook underneath. And Meta is doing what Facebook is doing, except now Meta is using the money that Facebook makes and spending it in this pivot to being everywhere and everything. but $500 billion, it was it was virtual value. It wasn't real value. Nothing is worth $2 trillion until it gets turned into $2 trillion, right? So when you lose $500 billion in stock value, it's not 500 billion in stock value. It's perceived value that's been wiped away because it really wasn't worth $500 billion worth of value. Okay, so that correction is what the real value of the company is. It's the perceived future value, and people trade on that perceived value. There are, in its filings, in Meta's filings or Facebook's filings or Google's filings or Apple's filings, there is actual tangible value there, but it isn't the stock price. It's capital investments in liquid assets that are invested in various places, cash assets. The next article is something that I've been barking about because I can't justify $2,000 for an RTX 3080, 3090. And I can't find a 3060 that's less than $1,000. And I refuse to pay the juice that somebody else is squeezing out of me. So NVIDIA's RTX 30 series Ethereum mining limiter might have just gone up in smoke. NVIDIA's light hash rate limiter, which is supposed to hobble the RTX 30 for mining. Technically, NVIDIA's LHR is managed to hold fast despite a year's worth of efforts to mitigate it by miners and once NVIDIA itself. According to My Drivers, the NVIDIA RTX V2 unlocker from Sergey is able to modify NVIDIA's RTX 30 series BIOS and drivers in such a way that it no longer lowers the hash rate whatsoever when Ethereum mining is detected. The tool is not fully out yet, but it's planned for release February 26th. That is 4 days from now, according to its GitHub page. An early access version is currently available. And this is kind of the creepiest thing, because if somebody has the ability to manipulate the BIOS of the card, then you can do some really bad cybersecurity things to any system if that were to get loose. One wrong click and you can install a persistent malware in the GPU. It just matters know-how. So let's click this link. I'll take you over to Jacob Ridley over at PCGamer.com, who wrote the article. Not sure what all of their sources are for this, but I'll draw more attention to the fact that you can listen to this article over on PCGamer.com just by clicking a little play button. And instead of having to read it and scroll, you can actually just listen to somebody read the article, and it can sit on one of your monitors. If you're like me, you've got multiple monitors so that you can do more work at one time. And what would benefit all of these monitors? Oh, that's right. A retail priced or better RTX 30 series card. Come on, manufacturers, get these cards out there. Just swamp the market so that people can't spend all of this money on these cards and still get away with it. I mean, it's ridiculous that I have to pay $400, $500, $600, $1,000 more than retail pricing because there is so much liquidity out there that people can afford to buy 15, 20 at a time and sell them on aftermarket. We'll just call it aftermarket. But I've been told this before. I'm just jealous because I didn't do it and I'm not making money, or I'm a bench warmer because I didn't get the card. No, I can't justify $2,000 for an RTX 3080 or 3090. It's a ridiculous amount of money for a graphics card that retails for a fraction of it, when you can find them You can't go to Best Buy and buy them. They just don't exist. Well, they exist, but they're in somebody's basement waiting to be sold aftermarket. Okay, so with that soapbox definitely stomped into oblivion, I want to remind everybody that you can go to ohmTown.com. And every time you click on the front page, it will refresh with a bunch of new news and lots of stuff having to do with Ukraine and Russia and the United States. And all of this news gets funneled into those 6 categories. I'll remind everybody that I'm looking for a host or co-host. If you want to join me here on Twitch, 1 hour a week, or multiple hours a week for multiple shows, all we have to do is chat and talk about the news that gets aggregated into ohmTown within the various sectors, within the various categories, within the various channels. I want to launch 50 shows. I want to launch them this year in 2022. So if you're interested in having a show for 1 hour a week, just get in touch with me. I'm Mayor Watt, and I want to thank you for swinging by ohmTown. Bye-bye.